This is a story that came out actually back in November in the Washington Post. As killings surge, Chicago police solve fewer homicides. You know, it's amazing how everybody wants to talk about Chicago, but one thing they fail to talk about, ladies and gentlemen, is how poorly Chicago police are in solving crimes. Who are the cops? What do they look like? How come they do such a poor job in solving crimes compared to the national average? We know the answer to that. But let's move on, ladies and gentlemen. After April Campbell's 16-year-old son was shot to death in May, about 4 blocks from their home, she took it upon herself to help police find the killer. Campbell, 49, disabled with a spinal injury, grabbed her walker and went door to door on the city's south side, trying to piece together a motive and gather evidence. She found witnesses and urged them to talk to police. She collected Facebook posts by people who seemed to claim credit for his killing. She tracked down a shop owner who had a security camera that might have recorded her son's killer. Campbell shared what she had found with detectives and then began calling to see whether they had followed up with the leads. I called back, no answer. I called back, he's on vacation. I called back, he wasn't in. I called back, he's out in the field, Campbell said. It's just nothing, you know? The death of Campbell's only son, Randall Young, was part of Chicago's growing body count of unsolved homicides. The city is on pace to have one of the deadliest years in 2 decades, and some of the residents blame police for perpetuating the violence by leaving killers on the street. Which is very true. If you are not solving crimes, then you are leaving the perpetrator out there to kill more. And maybe that's the whole goal, ladies and gentlemen. So if you are not getting the person breaking into homes, killing people, and raping and all kinds of crimes, then you left them on the street to continue to do those things because you're not solving crime. Last year, Chicago cleared homicides at 1/3 the rate they did 25 years ago. That's because these cops are way more lazier. See, they don't want to chase a perpetrator. They want to just pull a gun out and start shooting. They're lazy. A time when they face twice as many killings, according to a Washington Post analysis of police data obtained through public record request. The department has gone from having one of the best clearance rates nationwide to one of the worst. So 25 years ago, they had a much better clearance rate for resolving crimes than they do today in 2018. You would think as the decades go by, you would improve. They don't improve with time, ladies and gentlemen. They regress. In Chicago, police consider a homicide cleared for one of 2 reasons. A suspect has been charged or the killer has been identified but cannot be prosecuted, which includes cases in which the suspect is dead or witnesses refuse to cooperate. In 1991, Chicago police solved about 80% of all homicides in the city, compared with about 62% by police nationwide, according to data from the FBI and Chicago police. Since then, the national rate has remained fairly constant, but Chicago's drop below 26% last year, the worst clearance rate for police in any large city in the country, the post analysis show. Okay, so all of you Chicago people want to always talk about Chicago. How come you don't talk about how bad the cops are at solving crimes? How come you leave that part out? Everything has just gone south in Chicago, says Thomas Hargrove, founder of the Murder Accountability Project, a Washington-based nonprofit group that tracks unsolved homicides nationwide. Everything has hit Chicago harder. The murder rate is higher than other cities, and their failure to solve those murders is much worse. Ladies and gentlemen, that's because these cops are doing the shooting. They are the ones doing the murdering in Chicago. In the past 25 years, there have been more than 16,000 people killed in Chicago, reinforcing the city's reputation as one of the nation's most violent. In 1991, amid the scourge of crack cocaine, police logged 929 homicides and reported clearing 741 of those cases. Homicides cleared by police over 25 years. So you can see the national is at 59.19%. In Chicago, look how low it is, 25.73%. Why? Why? How come y'all that always talking about crime in Chicago, you're not questioning this? Why don't you have any questions on why they are so far below the national average in resolving crimes? I guess that comes with just like calling the police. You don't call the police on the right thing. And obviously you don't pay attention to the right things either. After peaking in the early 90s, homicides in Chicago fell steadily each year for the next decade. During much of the 2000s, the city saw fewer than 500 homicides a year, which is low. But the past 2 years been a surge in killings. As of Wednesday, 626 people have been killed this year in Chicago. Okay, so if the number is at 626 people, again, why is it going unsolved? With each passing year, more killings have gone unsolved. Why? As of August, Chicago police had cleared just 1 in 5 of the city's homicides in 2016. The post-analysis shows if homicide clearances continue their current downward trend, Chicago detectives would be solving just 1 in 10 killings citywide by 2023. But my question is, if you got all these police departments up in Chicago, which y'all have many, how come you're not solving nothing? And how come you're not doing a sweep of these police departments and bringing in new blood to take on these cases? If you see the old guard in place is not doing nothing, then common sense should tell you to push those people out, get rid of them. They're not doing anything to solve crime anyway, so why keep them? Why continue to pay them a salary that they are not earning? But listen to this. But they said multiple factors explain the decline, noting in particular the vast majority of the city's homicides are gang or drug related. Ladies and gentlemen, every gang in America has a name. Don't ever accept them saying gang related. Gang related means nothing. It's generic. There is no street gang in America calling themselves gang related. Who is the gang? What is the gang's name? The fact that they don't divulge this information tells me it is not a gang at all. If you don't have a name of a gang, then how do you know it's a gang? Every gang called themselves something. So if they come in the media talking about gang related, don't ever accept that. Who is the gang? What are they called? Who are the people involved? You know, they come in the media like this all the time. Oh, it was a gang related, blah, 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 blah. That doesn't mean nothing. It's vague. And if that's all the information you're going to provide, you need to just shut up. That's not information, y'all. It's information to a fool. So if you know it's a gang, how come the cops are not going out there and arresting the gangs for all these shootings? How come their homicide rate is so low? If you know for sure it was a gang, then you should be able to find those gang members and arrest them. We don't see that happening either. So witnesses may be reluctant to come forward. That is not always the case, ladies and gentlemen. Don't let them try to con you into that. There are a lot of family members and witnesses that are more than willing to come forward and speak. We see that in the case of Botham John. There were people in that apartment building wide awake because it was only 10 o'clock at night when Amber Geiger went up to Botham John's door. There were a lot of people that came forward and gave their account about what happened that night. So it is not always no damn witness reluctance. Many of these people are more than willing to talk and tell you what happened. Always have been. So, oh, no stitch on the street. No. Don't let them try to con you into believing that that is it. No. Okay. Trust me, 25 years ago, people were talking that no snitch stuff too. And those of you that have been around for a while, you know exactly what I mean. They were talking the no snitch stuff 25 years ago. But they were able to resolve crimes despite of all of that. But today, 25 years later, they can't do anything because of no snitch. People were talking about no snitching back in the 80s and 90s. And crimes were still getting solved, y'all. Don't fall for that. Don't fall for that. Police officials also said advances in technology such as DNA evidence and the proliferation of video recording have forced detectives to meet higher burden of proof before prosecutors will file criminal charges. And see, that's another thing, ladies and gentlemen. Cameras are all over Chicago. Cameras are all over Chicago. How do you have a city loaded down and all kinds of surveillance cameras everywhere and you still have a problem solving crimes? I thought your modern technology was all that. Ladies and gentlemen, I'll leave the link to this article in the description box. You know, all I can say is every reason they're giving are the same reasons that people give all across this country, but crime is still being solved everywhere else. But when it comes down to Chicago, hardly nothing is being resolved. See it for what it is. Please leave your comment and subscribe. Don't forget to hit on the notification bell, and I'll see you on the next video. Peace, family.